Gaslighting, we should do a whole kind of topic on that one day, but it's basically the way I like to think about it is exactly what she has said. Um, it's getting talked out of your own reality. And when people, the symptoms are like you get confused and second guess yourself, wait a minute, I thought this happened, but they're saying it didn't. But I did not see that. Well, maybe I was wrong. I mean, sometimes I don't get it right. You no longer feel like yourself because you're getting detached from yourself. You start to doubt everything, feel like everything is doing it wrong. And sometimes certain relationships will do this to somebody long term, and they literally end up feeling um, like like she did or he did, where you kind of lose yourself. You're being accused of being oversensitive and you're so paranoid and you're so controlling and all of that. But there is a way out. One of my favorite verses is in the book of Hebrews, and it says, solid food is for the mature. Let's camp out on that sentence for a second. Solid food is for the mature. What is solid food? Well, if you're a baby, you just kind of are drinking in whatever they give you, right? And you're on a diet that doesn't overwhelm the system. That's why babies don't eat ribeye steaks. Be too much for them to digest, poor babies. But at some point, they have gotten mature. The literal word that's translated in the Bible mature is the word complete. So their digestive systems and their teeth and all of that has matured, has become complete enough to where they're ready for solid food. Now, I know that most of you are not on a liquid diet physically, but when you get to solid foods, you're engaging in the solid food of adulthood, which is relationships and performance and having to work out conflicts and emotionally connect and be emotionally available and to be able to connect when somebody else is emotionally available. So that's solid food. Adult life has reality demands that are big people demands. Now, if you go back to the verse, it says that solid food for the mature, and that requires some maturity. Now, having said that, the next part of the verse says this: solid food is for the mature who have had through practice, have had their senses trained to discern good from evil. Had their senses trained to discern good from evil. Well, what we're talking about in gaslighting, you've been talked out of your senses. That didn't feel good. Oh no, that didn't hurt. Well, you did that. No, I didn't do that. Or that kind of feels harsh to me. No, it's not. And you're sensing something in a relationship, your senses, your sight and smell and intuition and what you've experienced and touched and lived and noticed. Your senses are telling you one thing, but they are talking you out of your senses. So how do we reverse that? Exactly the same way that a child matures into having senses. How do we do that? Well, you're equipped with mirror neurons from infancy. And so is your mom or your caretaker. And what does that mean? It means that when you have a certain feeling, they nod and they empathize with it and they understand it. And then you feel understood when you were sad. Oh, yeah, that's what sad feels like. Yeah, thanks. And it gets transformed. When you name, what's this? That's an apple. Yay, you're right. and your perceptions are validated by the outside world. That gets internalized into equipment in your head where now you know that's an apple and that's not. You need to be able to know what a counterfeit dollar bill looks like if you're a bank teller. Okay, I was a bank teller in college. And you know what they do to be able to recognize counterfeit money? They don't hand you every counterfeit bill to know what that looks like or feels like. They get you to play with real money. So you know what the real thing is like. And then when the counterfeit comes, there's a million different kinds, but when it comes, it doesn't feel right. That doesn't seem right. That texture, that picture, that ink, something's wrong with this. Well, we have our senses trained in relationship to know what empathy feels like and know when we're not getting empathy. We know what freedom feels like when somebody's respecting our boundaries. And then when somebody doesn't, that doesn't feel right. We know what good feedback on a mistake or failure sounds like that's helpful versus toxic putting you down feels like. So what you've got to do is it's very important to get with a real thing and know what the real stuff feels like. That's what a good therapist, a support group, you know, good friends that we get into deep issues with. When we learn that's what family is supposed to do because family is familiar. And so as adults, our spiritual family, the people that we're close to, have to be good people that help us get back in touch with our senses. And then we learn, well, this person sounds like that, but that's not what my close friends, that's not how they treat me. And we learn to recognize it. And then there's some skills building that goes on with this. So I would suggest all of that. One of the things I do like that we see in recent years, and it has its own problems, but the phrase "my truth," and probably better translated, my feelings, my opinions, my observations, my perceptions. And it's very important to be able to get in touch with that because gaslighting gets you out of touch with that. But just like we talked about developmentally, sometimes my truth is not the truth. And sometimes I can have perceptions of things that are wrong, and we need others to train our senses to do that as well.